Hello, my name is Ted Holsey. I'm Vice President of Marketing at eFolder and your host for today's event. Welcome to our eFolder Expert Series. This webinar series brings together experts from eFolder's staff and partner community for deep dive discussions on key service, technical, and business topics. Today's topic is how MSPs can use LinkedIn to keep their sales pipelines full. We are joined by Andrew Moon of Orange Nomad. Let's go through a few housekeeping items before looking at today's agenda. Today's session is being recorded. The recorded version of the webinar will be made available on eFolder's YouTube channel. We will also make copies of the slides available to those who registered for the event. With over 360 people registered for today's session, we've put all participants in listen-only mode. You can enjoy the audio portion of today's event by either streaming it on your computer or by dialing in over the phone. Today's webinar follows a logical flow. I'll start by introducing today's expert, Andrew Moon, who will then share some fun facts about LinkedIn that explain why it's so critical that you leverage LinkedIn as an MSP business owner. Andrew will then go through the entire LinkedIn marketing process roadmap, which he has divided into 4 stages: laying the foundation, finding prospects, making connections, and publishing top-of-mind campaigns. Andrew will then introduce some tools he has developed to help MSPs make the most of LinkedIn, and I will introduce eFolder's PR and social media guide, marketing guide. While we have planned a special Q&A section at the end of today's discussion, questions are strongly encouraged throughout. You may submit questions as we go along. Now let me introduce Andrew. Andrew is a serial entrepreneur who has launched and run several successful businesses of his own since the age of 8. He is the founder of Orange Nomad, a unique business consultancy that takes a progressive approach to educating small businesses and entrepreneurs on all things digital. Andrew is also the author of Insider Technology Secrets That'll Make Your Business Run Better and More Profitably. Andrew's goal is to guide small businesses in implementing their business vision while aligning their digital strategy to meet that mission. Andrew, thank you for joining us today and welcome.
Thanks for having me, Ted. I appreciate it. I look forward to sharing a wealth of knowledge today with the eFolder partners.
Okay, well, great. So I'm giving you keyboard and mouse control, so you should be able to advance the slides, and you've got the ball.
All right, let's just make sure we can get this going here. All right. As Ted mentioned, I probably know a lot of you on the call. I've been in the channel for well over 10 years. It was an eFolder partner the last 4 years of running my own MSP. For those of you who I don't know, I'll just give you a little bit of short back history on me before we get started. Couple things that those of you who might know me, the 3 passions I have are technology, cars, and for those of you who've seen me in person, I love the color orange. Orange is the color of a good mood. That's what I strive for, is always keeping things positive in a world of negative. So as the slide mentions here, I don't feel that I'm a rock star, a ninja guru, whatever the cool thing we call ourselves these days. I like to think of myself as just a regular entrepreneur, helping fellow entrepreneurs, and in this case, specifically managed service providers, with keeping their vision in implementing technology and business tools like we're going to learn about today with LinkedIn. I know that's probably funny to some of you. I've been an entrepreneur since age 8. I've had one business or another since age 8 with my brothers. I come from an extremely large family, 6 kids. And I knew my way out at age 8 was through entrepreneurial means. So again, I've been in the channel for 20 plus years. I had my own IT business, Network Logics. I was a pure play MSP in 2004. I ran that for 10 years before I sold it in 2014. So the things I'm going to tell you about today are a large part of how I grew my MSP and the things that I've picked up along the way as far as sales, marketing, business techniques, and especially as that surrounds LinkedIn. Let me see if we can get this slide to advance here. All right, I think we went one too many. Oops, sorry. Sorry, Ted. We'll get this. Sorry, it's a little laggy here. So let me go back one slide. All right. All right, so just to give you a little bit of, let's just do some quick fun facts, if you will, about LinkedIn. A lot of you are probably just wondering, you know, why should I even care about LinkedIn? You know, how powerful of a tool can it really be? LinkedIn was one of the most powerful tools that I found, especially the last couple of years in my managed service practice. So a lot of folks I've talked to, especially in the MSP space over the last year, are pretty frustrated with LinkedIn because they don't really know how to maximize, how to turn it into new business. And for the most part, a lot of people feel that it's just a waste of time. But today I'm going to show you really how powerful LinkedIn can be, and really having a plan of action and being able to use it in a consistent manner to benefit and maximize the results of it. Just to figure out why you should care about LinkedIn. There's 400 million registered members as of November 2015, and that just changed a couple weeks ago. So this is the largest self-updating business database in the world. If you just think about that fact alone, a lot of you have bought lists and things from other resources. This is a self-updating database. I'm going to show you some of the things that today, how to find people, and really the possibilities are endless with being able to use LinkedIn. And again, it's a powerful tool if we know how to use it. Now, out of that 400 million people, a lot of people think social media is just for millennials and they just, you know, screw around all day on social media. That's not the case with LinkedIn. If you look at the demographics, you have business decision makers using LinkedIn. And generating a predictable flow of leads is what you're all looking for. And the people we need to get in front of as managed service providers, the largest demographic is the 30 to 49. The second largest demographic is 50 to 64. So these are business executives, people that you want to get in front of to be able to sell your managed services. And today I'm going to show you how to get in front of those people, how to do it in such a way where you're not fighting the cold lead mentality. And I'm going to show you how to do it in such a way where you're not selling people. So given the fact that there's a virtually limitless pool of prospects on LinkedIn, how do we utilize it? How do we go from, you know, messing around, you know, wasting time with LinkedIn to really consistently being able to use it to bring people into your sales funnel, keep you top of mind as an MSP, and then ultimately convert those folks into clients? Because let's face it, connections on LinkedIn, which a lot of LinkedIn gurus out there they are really good at getting you connections on LinkedIn, but ultimately you can't cash a connection on LinkedIn. So connections don't pay your bills, clients do. So I'm going to show you how to tap into that massive pool of prospects and ultimately turn these folks into clients. So that's your ultimate goal as a managed service provider. That's my mission today, is to answer that question and give you the tools to execute. So the things I'm going to show you today, you're going to be able to implement and start executing these immediately. Now, as I learned in my MSP practice over 10 years and in studying a lot of the most successful MSPs, they build systems. They build process and systems. And that's what I've developed. I've developed a proprietary LinkedIn training system specifically for managed service providers. And that's what I want to walk you through today. So I've got a lot of information to cover. So I'm going to show you how some of the systems that I use to add 125,000 in MRR my last year and a half with Network Logics. The things I'm going to show you today are how one MSP added nearly $1 million just using LinkedIn in 1 year. Then I'm also going to show you how the systems I'm going to show you will really give you the tips on how to consistently put people in seminars and webinars and book appointments and ultimately close sales. So that's what it's all about. Now, one caveat I'm going to tell you about today, everything I'm going to show you today that you can do with a free LinkedIn account. So I know a lot of you have the premium account. I'm not railing against that. I just want to be able to show you what you can do with a free LinkedIn account. You'll get a few more functions with a premium account, but again, it's all about being smart with our money as entrepreneurs. So the things I'm going to show you today are with the free account. And again, it's a compilation of executing my own LinkedIn campaigns as an MSP. We also do this and have been doing this for the last year for our clients. We manage all of their LinkedIn marketing, and it's a compilation of research interviews of what other forward-thinking MSPs are doing in the market. So I've got real data that I'm going to show you, and again, it's based upon 5,000 plus LinkedIn connections and setting up meetings. So I've got real data. I'm going to give you real numbers. So now we'll go ahead and dive into the system. So are there any questions before I get started, Ted, just before we get going?
Not yet, but
Okay.
you know, folks, let's see. Keep them coming. Let me pop out the Q&A log so it's nice and big for me, and then I'll put the mouse back where you got it.
All right.
Yeah, just yeah, I mean, just to remind everybody, we will be sending around a recording. We copies of the slides, and we'll also be posting the recorded version to the eFolder YouTube channel. So with that, I'll just keep an eye on the Q&A log. Andrew, keep trucking.
All right, awesome. So let's move his mouse back here, and I'll break down. What I'm going to do is break down the entire system for you, block by block. And here we go. This is the process roadmap. So I'm going to walk you through step by step. We'll get through the most of it. The first 3 steps I'm going to show you today are what most of you will be able to start finding success almost immediately, just using these first few steps. I wasn't able to include this slide in, Ted. I got somebody who attended my webinar a week and a half ago. Last week was his first full week. Out of 90 connection requests he sent out using this system, he was able to connect with 27 people, set up 5 in-person meetings, and 3 phone calls. All of that in 1 week, just using the first 3 steps I'm going to show you.
Great.
So we'll cover the first 3 steps, and then the top of mind campaigns, I'll show you some advanced campaign strategies that you can use built inside LinkedIn as well. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, anything we do in our managed service practice has to have a process around it. Because, you know, those of you who are successful and have been doing this a while know that in order to generate consistent results in anything inside your managed service practice, you have to have a process around it. And that's the biggest thing that I learned as an MSP, was to build systems. You know, systems for sales, systems for onboarding, systems for the regular PC maintenance. Everything that we do in our managed service practice has to have a process around it. So that's no different when we go to attack LinkedIn. If you learn to systematize how you do your LinkedIn marketing, you can count on consistent results. Now, notice I said systematize, not automate, because there are a lot of things inside of LinkedIn that you can't automate, and that's just the nature of how LinkedIn has built their system. But what I want to tell you today is LinkedIn is not going to replace your other marketing efforts. It's definitely going to supplement and enhance your other marketing efforts. So I'm not standing up here in the soapbox telling you LinkedIn is the only way of marketing that you should do. It's going to dovetail in with the rest of the things that you're doing, with direct mail, with telemarketing, with your newsletters, all of those things. This is going to make that relationship much more solid for you as you do your prospecting on LinkedIn. But as with anything, we need to put in the time. So the first thing that we need to do is lay a very good strategy. And these are the 3 things that you need to do. And you have to do these 3 things in order to have the most success through the entire system that I'm going to show you. And the first thing is obviously optimizing your profile. Your LinkedIn profile is not your online resume. Because I think most of you on the call are entrepreneurs, you're self-starters. I don't think any of you are looking for a job right now. So this is your way of showing your body of work through your LinkedIn profile. So we need to get away from the mentality that this is your online resume. So we want to create a prospect profile, your personal profile rather, where people are going to want to connect with you. You're going to want to be seen as a thought leader in the market, not just a computer tech. Because remember, you're trying to get in front of executives, CEOs, decision makers. Most of you guys aren't interested in just connecting with another PC tech. So that's the first thing you need to do is optimize your profile. Now I could probably cover at least an hour on the profile. We're not going to dig into optimizing your profile. So if you hang around to the end, I do have some giveaways at the end on how to do that, how to take the time to optimize your personal LinkedIn profile. I've got a couple of workbooks and checklists to walk through. I think Ted has some giveaways at the end for you as well. So that's number one, optimizing your profile. The second thing we need to do is develop a prospect profile. We're going to dig into each one of these as we go here in a couple minutes. I'll tell you what a prospect profile is, and then the third thing you need to do is join the right LinkedIn groups. Again, I'll dig into that in a moment. So as I mentioned, your LinkedIn profile, that's the key. That's when you send a connection request, that's the first thing they're going to do. They're going to go to your LinkedIn profile. So if you're just seen as somebody that's irrelevant to them, they're not going to be driven to connect with you. So again, I have a workbook at the end on how to optimize your profile. Exactly walks you right through how to do that. I've got a checklist on the things that you need to do daily, weekly, and monthly to keep your profile updated. And then so that's your personal profile. So the second thing is the prospect profile. This is your ideal client on LinkedIn. A prospect profile is basically who do you want to target on LinkedIn? Because if you're just going to LinkedIn and it's not in an organized fashion, you're going to waste time. You need to know who you're looking for, who your ideal client is on LinkedIn. Whether that's a vertical market, whether that's a specific geographic area, number of employees, revenue. So that treasure trove of building exactly who your LinkedIn prospect is, you need to do that first so that when we do the searches that I'm going to show you in a minute, we know exactly who we're looking for. That's going to allow you to build the deep relationships with people well before the sale. We know exactly who we're looking for. We know exactly who our ideal client is for our managed services. To just give you, for instance, the two vertical markets that were my specialty with my managed service practice were attorneys and multifamily housing. And I know that that's a weird term. It was a weird term to me when I first got started. Essentially, multifamily housing are property management companies and companies that manage and run apartment communities. So those were my two specialties. Just to let you know how granular I got when I'm looking for building a prospect profile for attorneys. I had a very, very granular prospect profile for attorneys. We targeted attorney firms that had husband and wife owners, not multi-owners that weren't necessarily related. They had at least 6 attorneys, were in business 6 years or less, and they had offices in both Columbus or Cleveland, Ohio, or Cincinnati, or all 3. So I knew exactly who I was looking for on LinkedIn. And some of the searches I'm going to show you right now are exact. I knew who they were, I knew where they were, and I knew how to find them. So that is highly key. So you don't want to skip the first 2 steps. The third step was joining the right LinkedIn groups. Now, LinkedIn changed the groups in the 4th quarter of 2015, so this has changed a little bit. Some of the screens have changed, but essentially what I'm going to show you is the premise of getting in the right LinkedIn groups and being able to expand your realm of influence on LinkedIn. I want to point out one key thing with LinkedIn groups. Most of you are already in groups, and most of you are already in peer groups, whether that's CompTIA, whether that's your specific groups surrounding your managed service practice. The key with having maximum capacity with groups on LinkedIn is joining groups where your prospects are at, not your competitors. So I'm not saying don't join any groups that are MSP specific. You definitely want to be part of a few of those. But the majority of the groups you want to be in are where your prospects are at, not where your peers are hanging out. So that's essential for LinkedIn groups. So those are the 3 things you need to do before you get started doing the things I'm going to show you right now. That strategy is key if you're going to find success with LinkedIn, and stop wasting your time and build consistent results. So the consistent results are going to come from having a crystal clear picture of who your prospects are. So every time you log into LinkedIn, you have a clear plan of action, you have a clear method of attack. With an optimized LinkedIn profile for yourself, go ahead, Ted, you got a question?
Yeah, Andrew, I just want to interject real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but just a couple questions. Okay. Kind of 2 lines of questioning are seeming to pop on the Q&A log. The first is more of just kind of a generic question, or a higher level question. I think you and I have kind of talked about this on a previous webinar, but just, you know, I think maybe first an observation, a lot of MSPs have not spent enough time identifying their target profile. And, you know, when did the light bulb go off for you that verticals were going to be really important and that you needed to focus? And how does somebody kind of make that transition from maybe a rough geographic focus with kind of a rough client size to getting to something that's more granular? Because I think a couple questions immediately popped up, like, well, hey, well, how do I define that target prospect profile even before I get started with LinkedIn?
That's a great question. And for me, that light bulb went off in my managed service practice probably about in 2010, 2011, because I think most of the folks on the call, if they went through the recession of 2008, 2009, lost sales, we were struggling to figure out how to grow again. I really looked at which clients were left over, and which ones we were really good at. That's when it came to light. Okay, we had a lot of clients in the multifamily space. From our first MSP client was actually an apartment association. So we found by speaking at their events, doing those types of things, that we picked up more property management companies as a result. So I got really good at identifying where their problem spots are and solving their problems with IT. And the same for attorneys. So when that switched around for me in, like I said, probably late 2010, 2011, and then it really hit high gear in 2012 when I joined, Producers Club, Robin Robbins in Nashville. We're kicking that into high gear where all of my focus was targeting those folks. So if you're going to go after a niche market, you might want to just look at, who are you good at serving right now? Is look at your client base, see where there are commonalities, whether if you're in the manufacturing space, if you're, what type of manufacturing do you see consistently across your client base? What problems are you good at solving? What in-depth knowledge do you have about a particular industry that no one has, where you could solve a unique problem for them? And, that's where, looking at those things, because I got out of the mentality where, we serve small businesses with 5 to 10 computers in Columbus. That's a big footprint. And you'll see as I move through some slides here, it's too big of a footprint for most MSPs to be able to market to. So right. That's the first place I would start is, kind of look at your client base. Who do you see some commonalities in the client base? And, we saw a lot. I'm like, okay, we're pretty good at the multifamily space. Let's target at this. And that's when my marketing got very, very targeted, where you're basically telling, you're inside of their head, asking the questions that they're asking when they come to your website and they're looking for an IT provider. How can you solve a unique problem for me? And if you can do that, it's highly key in finding success in any vertical market. If you can solve a very specific problem for them, that's right. How you get really good at building that profile.
And I guess I would just interject, don't overthink it. I mean, I think the story you told about kind of serendipitously going through the recession and finding, like, you know, doing some soul searching and looking into your client base and discovering, well, hey, look, here are some types of clients where we really succeed. Let's double down on that. I think a lot of MSPs, I think, get tripped up trying to be too perfectionistic about it. It's just do the soul searching, make it quick. You know where you've got skills and capabilities. You know the vertical markets where you know the line of applications. You really understand the industry challenges these clients are having. And it's just a matter of evolving your business towards a more focused strategy. And as you do more marketing, you'll discover the key of marketing is kind of targeting, right? If you don't have a well-defined target, you can't do good marketing because it won't be efficient, it won't be targeted, it won't be relevant. But if you're really going to get going with marketing, going with LinkedIn, you really have to start out with that targeted prospect. And just don't overthink it. You know, pick 1, 2, 3 verticals where you've got that expertise, and that's enough. And then over time, your business will evolve to this really focused business that really has a lot of expertise in a niche.
Exactly. Couldn't agree with you more. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and that was kind of my hang up is, okay, well, I can't pigeonhole myself into we're only going to do these type of business. I'm not saying that I didn't take other business that came along. So I think that's where a lot of folks get hang up in the MSP is they feel like, okay, if I pick a niche, that's the only thing I can do. It's not. You know, you just get really good at telling the story that's in their head as they're going through that. And that's, as you mentioned, that's the key to marketing. That's when I started finding the most success with my marketing, because I did what most MSPs do is that, you know, you send a campaign to a cold list where you're not really solving a unique problem, and then you don't get the results that you expected to find. Then you get frustrated.
That's right. So real quick tactical question, a lot easier than the prior one. Personal profile, company profile, or both? And kind of what's the, how do they, a couple questions can come in, like, do I as a business owner need to have a really good personal profile on LinkedIn, or is a company profile enough?
I recommend both, because people don't want, here's what I found with LinkedIn, people don't want to do business with entities. They want to do business with people. And I found that when we're doing this for our clients, we have the most results when we're actually managing a CEO's, LinkedIn profile, because they want to feel like they're connected with somebody who's in charge and somebody who, let's face it, we all like to do business with a boss. So when you're connecting with somebody on LinkedIn, that's what your prospects want to feel that as well. So that's where I definitely recommend that you spend a lot of time with your personal profile, because that's what you're going to be issuing the connection request. People don't necessarily, they can click to follow your company page. Connection request allows you that one-on-one relationship. So I do recommend the company page as well. Just because as you build your profile, you'll see that as well. When you put your experience under your LinkedIn profile, if you don't have it tied to a company page, your logo doesn't show up. So you can see where, people who have their experience listed and there's no logo beside it, it's not tied to a LinkedIn company page. That just allows you to give more in-depth information on LinkedIn about your company. But that, I recommend you do it, but that's not going to be the key to having success with what I show you today. It's just one small part of it. Don't leave it out, but I don't think you have to spend a ton of time on your company page on LinkedIn, but you should have both.
Great.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
So those are really good questions. So, okay. So now that we built our foundation, we've moved through the strategy phase. Now let's look at, taking that prospect profile and how do we go about finding those folks on LinkedIn? How do we go about targeting them? Because as you mentioned, Ted, a lot of people haven't spent a lot of time with LinkedIn. So this is how you go about finding and targeting these people, your search criteria and things within LinkedIn. For those who I'm not going to do it'll be a quick deep dive on LinkedIn. So to do an advanced search, if you look at the top of your search bar when you log into your LinkedIn and click on the advanced button, it will pop up this little advanced people search. And you can see how granular you can get. I'll just cover left to right there. You can search by keyword, first name, last name, title, company, school, what school they went to. You can get very specific as to the location. You can search by what relationship, whether it's a first level, second level, group connections. You can search by industry, and that's what I'll pop through the next screen here. And just to let you know that what you see, the little gold LinkedIn or the yellow LinkedIn little boxes, those are the premium features. So those are the things you'll get if you have a premium account. But you'll see most of the things that we can search for are in the free advanced people search. So we can search by industry, company size, seniority level. Those are premium features, but you can still search by company size. There's just, there's a way around that. That portion of it just takes a little bit more work, but it can be done. Most of what I do are around title, location, and industry. Those are really, that's where building that profile, you know where they're at, what industry that they're in. You've got a large portion of the hard part of finding people on LinkedIn just with knowing those things. But you can get very granular, and I'll walk you through a couple examples of just some searches that you can do. If I'm targeting local business owners, so if you see in the left-hand side there, I've typed in the title box of the word owner and second level connections in the Columbus, Ohio area. As you can see, I have 9,020 results. I, as an MSP, can never market to 9,020 people. So if I'm just targeting small businesses inside Columbus, that's much too broad of a net to cast. So I need to get a bit more granular as to what I'm searching for there. But as you can see, the pool of prospects is huge. That's just in one market within 25-mile radius of Columbus. If I'm not targeting a specific geographic location, let's say I'm targeting national business owners, if I do a search for owner, second level connection in the United States, my net is now 78,300 results. Again, most MSPs can't market to that many people. And if you're trying to cast that big of a net, you will be extremely disappointed very, very quickly. So that's where we have to, really, really narrow down who we're looking for on LinkedIn, because you don't have the time to try to connect with 78,000 people. Let's see here. The next one, targeting specific industries. This particular search is, say my vertical was accounting, and I'm looking for accounting industry. It's 13,550 results. Again, much too big of a net, but it illustrates how big of a net you can actually cast from LinkedIn. We have one more slide there. Okay. So that was just to illustrate how to go about finding people there. So we've got strategy. We figured out, okay, how we go about finding people. We joined the right groups. So the LinkedIn marketing system, the next thing is connecting with those folks, reaching out, making connections, starting to build relationships, because relationships are really what differentiates you in any of your marketing that you do. And this will reinforce a lot of what you'll see with your marketing as you're doing 3-step marketing campaigns with direct mail and you're doing telemarketing. If you're implementing the LinkedIn and system ahead of this, that will make those efforts much more palatable to your clients, because they'll actually get it. They'll actually remember, okay, yeah, I'm connected with that person on LinkedIn, or I attended that person's seminar and I'm connected with them on LinkedIn. So that's where the outreach is going to be key. So we'll cover that now with the outreach. There's 3 basic activities with outreach. And again, I recommend every day, if you want to have consistent results and set up consistent meetings on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, you can't start and stop with LinkedIn. Keeping your pipeline full requires daily effort. And we're not talking about tons of time. We're not talking about hours of time. I'm going to show you how to do this. If you're really, really slow, I think reaching out to 5 to 10 prospects a day, which are what most MSPs are having success with the program are doing, that will generate 2 to 4 qualified meetings a month. but doing this every day and reaching out to those folks every day is key. And then adding it, the top of mind monthly thought leader reminders, your top of mind campaigns. And then the last activity, which a lot of people forget, is you've got to follow up with people who are reaching out to you in LinkedIn. There's a LinkedIn inbox. I got too many people I go into, that's the part they forget. Just to give you for instance, I had a connection a few weeks ago respond to a seminar invitation that I sent her in 2014. So she hasn't logged into LinkedIn since 2014. But I got a response, 2.5 years later that she couldn't make it. So those are the three key activities you need to do with LinkedIn to find success. And again, this is immediate success. I'm going to give away a couple scripts here in a few minutes, how you can start making connection requests the right way. And I'm also going to give a script away for a referral generating strategy that generates an average response rate of about 70%. 70% of the time I'm able to get folks to reach out, make connections, and I'll give you the exact script for that as well. Any questions before I jump in, Ted? I'm gonna give them some things that they can really use right now in the next couple minutes here.
No questions just yet. I mean, I'm digesting the log. Let's keep moving.
Okay. All right. I know we're okay. Just to give you, for instance, Keith Mayer. I wanted to reach out to Keith Mayer, and I wanted to do that in such a way where Keith is going to want to respond to me and connect with me. He happens to be a higher technical evangelist at Microsoft here in town. So he's got, as you can see on his profile, he's got 4,000 connections. So he could definitely be a source of a good joint venture partner for me. But how do I go about connecting with Keith? If I hit just the connect button, or if I'm using the LinkedIn app, this is the message that's going to be sent out by default. I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. I don't know about you, but I still get 50 or 60 of those a day. Again, doesn't show me a lot of effort, nothing unique about it. People may or may not connect with you, but I find most people just hit delete. They just move right by you when they get 50, 60, 100 of those a day. So this is pretty much what you're going to get. It's a shameless Star Wars reference. This is what you're going to see. People, they feel like you're welcoming them to the dark side, because we see that it's a very generic, lazy effort for using LinkedIn. It doesn't show a lot of effort there. Doesn't really differentiate me from anybody else who's trying to connect with them on LinkedIn. So what's a better way of getting Keith to want to connect with me? This script right here, we found, and again, sending over 5,000 connection requests on behalf of our clients and what we've done internally, and I still use this script. This will work on average. I think we're anywhere from 27 to about 52% of the time we're able to get connected with folks on LinkedIn. It's a very simple script. All it says is, "Hi, Keith. I came across your profile on LinkedIn, and I'd love to connect to stay in touch. Our industry is pretty tight-knit. Never hurts to make a connection. Thanks." You can customize that if you're looking for, if you have a specific intention that, the business community is pretty tight-knit here in Columbus. Never hurts to make a connection. You can customize that, but we find it's a very simple message. It's not selling them anything. I'm not immediately going about, I don't have that slimy feel that I get from the lazy, "Hey, I'd like to add you to my professional LinkedIn network." That generic script will work, like I said, anywhere from 27 to 52% of the time. So, yeah, actually, I put 30 to 50%, so we'll just go in the middle. So that will work about 30 to 50% of the time. But that, again, as I mentioned, that still doesn't pay our bills. That still doesn't convert people into clients. How do we go about taking them through the process of becoming a client? I'll show you a script here of going about getting connected. I found that taking people through a process of just setting up a phone call, or if you're better yet, what works the best is when I take that the online connection offline and actually just have a cup of coffee with somebody. That's really where your goal is to benefit them. Just a couple ideas for those of you who are probably wondering, what do I talk about? Don't immediately start selling them things when you have coffee with them. One of the things that I used was, hey, I'm writing a new book or I'm publishing a new white paper. You're a business leader, a thought leader in the industry here. I'd love to sit down, have coffee, and get your feedback. That was a tremendous icebreaker, and most people want to help, especially if it's a business leader in your community. They're going to want to help. Our research shows that about 18 to 28% of the people that we send that simple message to, hey, I'd like to get together, have coffee with you, 18 to 28% of the people that connect with us will agree to have a meeting with us within the first 90 days. So following that simple process of just having a quick call, or better yet, a quick offline meeting, generates paying clients. That's the easiest way to do it. And I find on average, most of our clients are booking 1 meeting per week using this system. So if you have a 25% close ratio with your MSP, that's 1 client a month. That's 1 new client that you're able to close in every month by just making a simple outreach, spending no more than about a half hour to 45 minutes a day. Sorry, getting it to advance the slide. So now I'm going to show you that. So that's just basic, sending out basic connection requests. But what if you run out of connection requests, or what about those people who you never hear back from? You try to make connections with, somebody you definitely want to do business with. How do you go about connecting with them? And especially if you don't have a warm relationship with them. Right now, I'm going to show you a strategy and give you the script that works 70% of the time, and will give you a 70% response rate for getting connected to somebody, especially if they're in our 2nd or 3rd level connections. I'm going to go back to our example of Keith Mayer. If I'm doing a search for Keith and I do that advanced people search, I see that I have 28 shared connections with Keith. So how do I use those shared connections with Keith? If I click on Keith's profile, that pops up a message where I can see the top 3 people that are in my network that I'm connected to already that know Keith. So I see, okay, great. Patrick Linish, I've known him for a long time. Patrick's already connected to Keith. Now, let's face it, most people don't have the time to, craft a message. So I need Patrick's permission to reach out to Keith and use him as a reference. How do I go about doing that? Again, Patrick's a busy guy. He doesn't have time to go craft a message for me. So let me give you the exact script. So if I click on Patrick's profile and I send Patrick a message, this quick little introduction works most of the time for me. All it is, for those of you who are listening in, it just says, hey, Pat, I noticed you're connected to Keith Mayer at Microsoft. I was going to reach out to him. Do you mind if I use your name? Thanks. Hope business is great for you. That will work most of the time for Pat. He'll send me a message back. Great, no problem. Feel free. If people don't know people really well, they'll tell you, or they'll give you somebody else who knows them a little bit better. But that right there, and I now have Pat's permission to go about reaching out to Keith. So what message do I send to Keith? Well, I look in my small business IT pros. I'm in the same group as Keith. So I can look Keith up and send him a message. So I do a search, and again, some of the screens have changed since the end of December, but if I find Keith inside that group, you'll notice I see the button there where I can send Keith a message directly. I'm not connected to him yet, but I can send him a message because I'm connected to him inside a group. One quick caveat with this, you can only do this 15 times per month, even with the free LinkedIn account. So just keep that in mind. You want to save these for kind of your back pocket connections for reaching out to Keith. But this will work 70% of the time for getting Keith to agree to connect with me. So here's the message. And again, for those of you who are listening on the phone, it just says, hi, Keith. I saw that we're both connected to Patrick Linish and wanted to reach out. Pat and I have known each other for some time, and I've really valued the networking we've done over the years. I told him I was going to reach out to you, and he thought it would be a great connection. It would be great to grab coffee sometime. My treat. Let me know if you have some time in the next week or two. Thanks. Very simple message. I'm not selling him anything. I'm not trying to use him in any way. That will work 70% of the time for getting connected with folks. And again, I'm in a much warmer relationship with Keith because he feels that I've already established somewhat of a relationship with him, especially when I prearranged that meeting. And again, it's a great way to just have a quick meeting, learn more about Keith. And I found that most times I'm able to either help Keith or Keith knows somebody who could use the services that I offer.
Hey, Andrew, just want to interject real quick, just an idea on this along these lines. I mean, I think one thing that this may be glossed over a bit is has everybody who's listening in today, have you gone in and done the basics with LinkedIn? Meaning what I would consider the basics is have you gone out there and connected to all the key people at your existing clients? And I'm always surprised that I come across folks who I talk about LinkedIn with, and they haven't done that. But I think the example you just showed is it's all about the network effects here, and that to get these warm introductions, to leverage the existing network. I mean, let's just say for the sake of argument, if you were, say, focused on the dental vertical in the state of Kansas, and you already do business with 30 dentists, I can guarantee you those 30 dentists know another couple hundred dentists throughout the state of Kansas, right? Because they probably went to university together, or they just know each other from professional associations. So it's really important, I think, implicit in this story you just told, you got to get out there and, take care of the basics. So make sure that you've at least used LinkedIn to first connect to all the key people you already know, especially your existing clients.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's kind of the low-hanging fruit. These are the people that are already writing you checks. I found that as we went through the training that we did in December and January with about 22 MSPs, that's most of them hadn't done that. Is connecting with the people that are already writing you a check, because let's face it, most of us want more clients like the ones that are already writing us a check, and most of them are connected in that network on LinkedIn. So no, it's highly key, highly beneficial. Okay. All right. So that's part of our outreach program. That's really, it's a simple outreach program. And as Ted mentioned, start with the low hanging fruit. We're not talking about, doing absolute ton of work. It's just going after the low hanging fruit, building our network, adding to our lead list. And as they consistently see you over time, it's a much warmer relationship that you're developing with them than anything else that I've done. We did some things for an MSP last year. She found that, getting people to show up at her webinars and seminars, because she had established that relationship, LinkedIn was by far more successful than anything else we did for her. That, she could consistently put 20 or 30 people in a room because of that network she had built through LinkedIn. And that was strictly just sending a couple emails. More of it came from customized messages to these folks that you're connected to in LinkedIn. So then the next part of the system, if all you were to do is take that first part of the system and stop, you'll start generating results just using those two strategies. It's like I said, the email I got last night, like I said, he set up eight meetings in a week, just connecting to 100 people last week. He ramped it up. He connected about 20 people a day is what he sent, but he was managed to get 8 meetings in a week just using the first half of the strategy. I'm going to dig in, and I know we're running close on time here. Added to this, as we go about the publishing side of things, there's a publishing mechanism built within LinkedIn that I'm going to cover now. But as you can see, as you're doing the marketing, having those consistent touch points with people via LinkedIn, You don't necessarily have to send them messages through LinkedIn and bombard them, but you can be in front of them and get top of mind and show your thought leadership. And I'm going to show you how to do that inside of LinkedIn. And again, doesn't take a whole lot of time to do this. Some of this portion you can automate. I'll cover just a few of the tools that you can use to automate some of the portion here. Your status updates, you can automate some of this through Hootsuite or a number of other tools. So you can post your status updates, to Facebook, to Twitter, to LinkedIn, to your company page on LinkedIn using Hootsuite. But having those status updates on a daily basis, I would say at minimum once per day, allows you, as your prospects are scrolling through there, they see your name pop up every day, and you're sharing relevant content with them. And as you can see, this particular article that I shared had nothing to do with technology. You're posting relevant content that your clients, your prospects can use that may or may not be related to technology. Business things, work-life balance there. There's a couple articles that I shared. I work a lot with entrepreneurs. So, one of them is digital security. That's all of those things that you can continually post. As you can see, I'm not creating that content. I shared an Inc. magazine article. But by sharing those things, your prospects see you on a consistent basis. You stay top of mind, so that if and when they need your services down the road, you're the first person they think of. That's what those things do for you. So that's tool number one. That's probably the easiest. So, and again, once you send out connection requests, status updates, LinkedIn Pulse is a little bit different of an animal inside of LinkedIn. For those of you who aren't familiar with LinkedIn Pulse, it's basically an internal blogging platform inside of LinkedIn. I'm not aware of any way where you can automate the post to LinkedIn Pulse. So it's a manual process. So if you have articles that you're posting on your website, copy those over to LinkedIn Pulse, because the data that you get within LinkedIn, I just popped up a screen here, which will show you the demographics of people who are looking at that particular the Pulse article. So you get a lot of very detailed data to know whether or not your Pulse articles are hitting the target market, who you're trying to reach. So whether that's industry, job title, location, I know whether or not I'm hitting that target market. So that's one of the benefits of using Pulse is, again, it's using it for SEO, keyword building, those type of strategies in addition to the rest of your marketing. We talked a bit about this was your company page. So yes, I do recommend you have a company page, because again, it's another way for people to find you, another way for people to learn about you. And you will find that you can post some of the same articles from your status updates to your company page as well. So if some people are following your company page but aren't necessarily following you, they still benefit by getting that content. As I mentioned in the beginning, I didn't cover this a ton, but sharing inside of groups. So being where your prospects are and sharing relevant content inside of groups a couple times a week, again, it builds your credibility as a thought leader, where you're sharing relevant content with them and with other folks just like them in an effort to build relevancy. So that's where joining the right groups where your prospects are out at is key, because posting stuff to fellow MSPs isn't necessarily, that's not who your target market is. So yeah, my only word of caution on the LinkedIn groups is try not to post too much, and try not to post too much in a self-serving manner. If you're sharing an article or you're sharing something that's relevant, just try not to be too salesy. I found that most folks who are monitoring groups don't really like it if all you're doing is pitching your services every time you post something. And then I talked a bit about following up with people inside your inbox, is monitoring and having those conversations on a regular basis, and making sure that you're going in there at least once a day to monitor your inbox. Because if folks are seeing you and they're reaching out to you and they're sitting in your LinkedIn inbox and you're not following up with them, all of your efforts of using LinkedIn go right out the window. So those are all of the top of mind things that you can do in the publishing section of the LinkedIn marketing system. We got strategy, outreach, publishing, staying top of mind, doing those things on a daily, monthly basis. That is how you build that ongoing, nurturing relationship and ultimately are able to close clients using LinkedIn. And it dovetails right into a lot of the marketing efforts, like I said, of what you're already doing or hopefully doing inside of your managed service practice. And a lot of you are probably curious as to, okay, what's the end result? What can I expect of using a system like this or implementing and putting LinkedIn to work inside my managed service practice? Ted, I'm not sure whether you know Jay. I'm pretty sure you do. Some of you may know Jay Ryerson. He published some results that just blew my mind last year. I attended a webinar here. I zoomed in on a screen here. He added $853,200 in revenue just from LinkedIn. And again, some of the things that I learned from him that he was doing every day was exactly what I told you, reaching out to 5 to 10 people a day on a consistent basis, being inside those groups, sharing relevant content, doing those things allowed him. I mean, that's by far, if you look at his results for that year, that was a larger revenue stream than anything else he was doing, direct mail and his newsletter marketing. So if you're wondering whether or not it's relevant and can help you close business, I think Jay's a key example of what you can do with LinkedIn. I mentioned briefly one of the other folks that we were able to help. Some of you may know Leias. She owns Intech Solutions just outside of Pittsburgh. We helped her with some LinkedIn marketing last March. She wanted to, really get going with LinkedIn marketing in her vertical markets manufacturing. So within a week, I had a week to put together a webinar for her. And just from using LinkedIn invitations, I think she had, 23 people registered for a webinar, 18 people showed up. She was able to book an appointment for an assessment right off of the webinar. And within a week, she got 2 more appointments, and one of those turned into a $3,600 monthly contract. So all of that was just sending out one campaign for one webinar. She was able to immediately start seeing results. So, LinkedIn is especially a good tool. Hopefully I've delivered on the promise today as we got started. I wanted to outline a system that allows you to consistently add prospects to your sales funnel, keep you top of mind, and ultimately, get results, which is turning people into clients. So I hope I've delivered on my promise today. I know we're running short of time, and if there's questions that we can answer, I'm more than happy to help answer those questions. Do we have any, Ted, before we get rolling?
I guess let's see here. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, I guess the one question that is, how to stay on top of kind of the flood of communications that come in. Someone says they got a lot of communications that are kind of pitches or generic congratulations. What's the best tactic, to deal with the inbound communications you get on LinkedIn?
Just taking a few minutes per day to do that. I think it's key. I still do that a lot, sending the congratulations, and you'd be surprised how much response you get back. Again, I wouldn't recommend just hitting that I would customize the message because again, people know whether or not you just hit the button to say congratulations. So, but just managing that is just taking 5 or 10 minutes, in the morning is what I do. First thing in the morning is, I post what I want to post for the day and then manage my inbox. I doubt you're getting much more than, 15 or 20 a day, maybe. Especially when you're not coming around an anniversary of your own job. You'll get inundated with those, hopefully. That tells you how active your network is. So I think that's a good thing. If people in your network are saying congratulations to you as you're having anniversaries and things, that tells you how active your network and how warm your network is. As far as the generic sales pitches, and again, I hit the delete button a lot every day too. But I think it's key to think about how you feel when you get those messages, and don't do it. I don't recommend sending pitches, especially when you connect today and send me a sales pitch tomorrow. I'm removing you from my network. So,
right, and I think the one comment I would make. Yeah, but I think I'd just jump in and add one comment. One comment is that, part of being able to parse and respond and react to the positive communications and connections you're getting is tuning out the noise. So it's almost kind of like a zero inbox philosophy on LinkedIn as well, that you want to, you're going to get some of the boneheaded connections people will make with you. And as you said, Andrew, it shows what not to do oftentimes, but also you got to clean that stuff out so that you've got a nice clean palette to work with when the really valuable connections come through. And you just drown in it if you're not consistently going through and deleting out the junk.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you got to do it every day. And I really don't think it's going to take you more than 5 or 10 minutes, to be honest with you. I get a lot of the generic connection requests, but I don't get a lot of the sales pitches anymore. I still get them, but I don't think it doesn't take a ton of time. And I think, again, you go back to what you said earlier, is not overthinking it, just not being inundated, but just get started. And if you manage that every day, you'll find that it's very manageable once you get started. Good. Any other questions?
They're starting to pop through. I'm just trying to be sensitive to time. Ruth, can you comment briefly? Can you comment briefly on the LinkedIn Premium account, Sales Navigator? Ruth wants to know, is Sales Navigator, is it worth it?
You'll find, if you're doing, I think if you're just starting out and you're not using LinkedIn a whole lot, what I've shown you today with a free account will work just fine with you. Where you get some more of LinkedIn's starting to roll out some additional features, but I think you won't really benefit from those until you've got a system, if you're a consistent system. You get a few additional things to the search parameters, being able to save searches. I think with a premium account, I think it's like 6 or 7. I think with a free account, you can save 2 searches, as you go through and do those saved searches. But I think, and again, if you have it, you like it, you're happy with it, by all means stay with it. But I think, for the most part, you can do a lot of the things and make connections with a free account.
Okay, I think we probably, because we're a couple minutes over, we probably should wrap up with some of the offers and next steps people take. Yeah,
so just to let everybody know, I put together a system that walks you all the way through all the steps of the process from building your foundation. It's an online course that we put together that gives you everything that you need to roll through this system, to implement it step by step by step, just to roll through some of the things that are added to that. I have step-by-step videos. We've got over 6 hours worth of video that walks you through each step of how to set this up. Does the prospect profile training, your personal profile training. I gave away 2 scripts today. I think we're up to, 31 scripts. So you'll get those things. You'll get copy and paste messaging scripts to be able to send out some different strategies as you start implementing the LinkedIn connections, some more advanced strategies, how to use some of the automation tools like Hootsuite. We cover a session on that, how to speed up the process for you and being able to post those top of mind campaigns. And more than that, I think is key is, I want everybody to be successful using LinkedIn and to find the success that we're finding with our clients that we do this for. So, with the system, I've added monthly mentoring. We have monthly coaching calls that we record where you can come and answer, ask any questions that you have as you go through the system, find out from other people that are using it what problems that they have and be able to get questions answered. I also have a private mastermind group that we're starting, which is very specific to those forward-thinking MSPs, how to use LinkedIn, how to solve business problems, and it's more of a business mastermind than just LinkedIn. So we want to set it up for that. And then right now we've got 12 additional videos in the series as LinkedIn makes changes, as we find things that are working with additional updates and things that we find that work. We're adding those to the system as well. So we want to give everybody lifetime support to those things, any additional content that we add, updates to the system. Like I said, it's an online training course, 100% guaranteed. I give a 60-day money-back guarantee. If you go through the system, implement this, try, if you can't get results within 60 days, we'll give you your money back, because ultimately, I want you to be successful using LinkedIn and really see the power of what LinkedIn can do. Just to give you, for instance, some of you may know Charles Henson, National Computer. He started finding results after the first training course. And I really think that you will. You'll start to be able to generate results. I think you'll be able to start generating results right after, the webinar today as well, if you go back and implement those things. So I've got a special deal just for eFolder partners. We put this together. We typically charge $3,000 a month to do this for our clients. I know most of the folks on the call today can't afford $3,000 a month. If you want us to do it for you, I'm happy to talk. But those of you who want to do all the work yourself, we normally charge $1,000 for this course. We're offering it to eFolder partners today for $595. And I think, if you're able to get to the point where you're closing one deal a month, I don't know about you, but my deals were averaging about $1,900 a month in MRR. So a $600 investment to generate that kind of return, I think, is a drop in the bucket. So I want to do something special for the LinkedIn partners today, or the eFolder partners today for LinkedIn. So that's all I have, Ted. So if there are additional questions, there's much more to the system than what I showed today. There's a ton more, and I think there's a tremendous amount of benefit that eFolder partners can definitely garner from the system.
Yeah, and so Andrew, thank you very much for joining us and sharing all of the valuable insights and observations and practical steps MSPs can take. And eFolder, we take to heart our role in helping MSPs on the sales and marketing front. And so we have a whole library of tools that we call playbooks and guides, and these contain a ton of practical resources that you can download and go execute and utilize today. And so we will be sending out a copy to everybody who joined in today. We'll be sending you copies of the slides, so you have access to those scripts. You have access to the next steps. You'll have access to the recording of this presentation if you have a business partner you want to share this with, or a colleague or somebody on your staff who you've given, who has the business development ball on the team. And then we'll also be sending you a copy of the eFolder PR and social media marketing guide, which contains, a lot of practical tools that you can simply copy and utilize in your own business today. And I would conclude by just saying, get busy. I mean, you probably got 10 or 20 ideas out of today's presentation on steps you can take, but you also got kind of a stepwise approach on where to get started. And I just would encourage everybody to make sure you just start with those first 2 or 3 steps in the next 2 weeks, so that you can really start seeing results from the word go. So, Andrew, thank you again for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Ted. I appreciate it. And hopefully, the eFolder partners were definitely able to get a lot of benefit today. I know I covered a lot of stuff. So, you guys having me today, and the benefit you provided the eFolder partners is tremendous.
Well, thank you very much. And to everybody who made the time, thanks for carving out some time in your day today for this eFolder webinar. And sorry we went a little bit over and maybe bled into a couple of your other meetings. But this is Ted Holsey signing off from the eFolder Expert Series. Look forward to seeing you guys all in the next eFolder webinar. Thanks a lot. Take care now.